Good morning. I'm Judy Mullins and you are visiting Vintage to Chic. This morning I'm going to show you how to design on this egg. We're going to put checks on it, and I found this egg at one of the local stores here in town, Tennessee, where I live, and it has beautiful silver roses already on it and a butterfly. So I'm going to work around that. That's already on the egg. So what I'm going to do is show you how to put your designs on there first if you're going to do checks or stripes. So what I'm going to start with is I'm going to start right on the top of my egg. The egg was ceramic and I have sealed it with white paint. So I have painted it white, 2 or 3 coats of white paint, and made it real nice and smooth, because painting on ceramics it's slick is real hard to do. So first you need to get it sealed and get it white. And then I'm going to find the top. I'm going to try to find the top center of my egg, which is right here. And I'm going to take a pencil. I'm using a sharp lead pencil, and I'm going to do my strokes real light. So I don't want to do this with a magic marker because I don't want that marker to show through in my painting. So, and I always varnish. Sometimes that marker will smear. So I'm going to make me a little X right here. Just come across, make a little straight line to the straight up and down this way, and then I'm going to turn it just the opposite, and I'm going to make one going in the other way, in the other direction. So I've got just a little tiny X on the top of my egg. Now if I follow that, okay, when I'm looking here I'm not centered with my top, so I'm going to do that again. I should have looked at where my butterflies was at before I started that. So I'm going to turn it this way first and put my X on this going down this way. Then I'm going to turn it around and put it down this way. Okay, that gets me pretty well in the center of the top of my egg. Since this is rounded this way, my checks in the middle are going to be bigger than the ones at the top and the ones at the bottom. Painting this is not the hard part. It's getting your design on the egg that's the hard part for you to do. So I'm going to do, if I try to take this pencil and make me a straight line all the way to that bottom, that's virtually impossible to do. So what I'm going to do is use little tiny hatch marks, and I'm going to follow that down. You can follow one hatch mark after the other and get it pretty well straight. But if you try to make a straight line down through there, you're going to lose your spot and it's not going to be straight for you. So I'm just making little hatch marks, one right after the other. That way I can keep them pretty well in line. And I'm going to come all the way down to the bottom of my egg. It's hard for you to see this until I start painting on it, and then you'll be able to see the design. But this does tell you how to do. Now I turned it completely around. I've got the one little line down through there, and I've turned it around, and I'm going to go down the other side the same way. So I'm on, this is dividing my egg into half. It's easier sometimes to do this on a piece of paper and start by drawing you a star, making you a shape on a flat piece of paper, and then you will be more familiar with exactly what you're doing. Now I've got 2 of them on. I'm going to turn it to the center, and I'm going to go down the other side, do the other. This is dividing my egg into 4ths. You can have your spaces as large as you want them, or go down as small as you want them. Okay, turn it all the way opposite. Now I've got to work into this pattern here, work down through this design that's on the egg. Okay, I'm going to come there, come down my middle here, and then I'm going to go down here to my bottom and try very hard to get it pretty well straight from up there at the top, just by kind of eyeballing it, hoping I get it in there correctly. Now I've got 4 sections to my egg. Now I'm going to go back to the top, and I'm going to put me another X in here, and I'm going to go between these. This is like making a pie. When you section off a pie into 8 sections to cut it, this is kind of like what you're doing on that. So I'm going to go inside this X, and I'm going to make me another one, just the opposite. So now I have a star in the top of there. See, I have a star. Now I'm going to follow that line down, coming all the way to the bottom again, making very light little hatch marks because I don't want them to show when I get my paint on there. Then I'm going to reverse it, come back over here to the other side, just the opposite side of that one. I'm coming right down again. And now I'm into my flowers again. So we're going to have to work around those flowers as we put the checks in, around the flowers that's already there. Now I'll go back up to my top and turn my egg, and I'm going down again. This makes me 8 sections. When you do it this way, you're always going to end up with an even number. If you follow them down there, you have to have an even number on your piece to make checks or to make stripes. So if you follow this design, you will have an even number of stripes when you get done with get your pattern on. And checks. Okay, now I'm going to opposite that, come around to the other side, and go down this side. Now my egg has 8 sections. Now I'm going to do this. They're still a little bit wide, so I'm going to come down again. I'm going to make a, let's see here. Do I want to do that or make them? Yeah, I want to come down again. So I'm going to go in between those, make me another line, make me another X in that top on that side, and another one on this side. This is going to be my last sections. So I've got a little bitty star in the top of that piece, and I'm going to follow it down. This will make me, I think, 16, let's see if it's 16 or 12 sections I'll have around through here. It's either 12 or 16. Okay, now opposite, go right opposite, turn it all the way around, and go down on this side. See, I've got my X in the top. A lot of people make the mistake when you're doing on a rounded surface of trying to make all your checks the same size. That's not possible to do. You have to make them to fit whatever you're working on. Okay, now I got to go back in between those and put in another section. Okay, now by looking at that, I've got this row right here off a little bit. So let's see what I'm doing here. I've got 1, 2, 3. Okay, I got to go back in. Right here's my next ones. One, two. Okay, now I've got these. I've still got some big ones here, so I got to do this one more time. I've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. But I'm going to have 20 because this section right here is much larger than these, so I've got to come one more time. I've got to go right here in this side. I'm just continue to do them stars in the top and follow them down until I get them all even. This will be my last section of going down the egg. That one, and I'm going to go all the way around here to this one. See, they're real small at the top, large in the middle, and then smaller at the bottom again. But the top is the smallest because that's where my egg is the smallest. Okay, now I've got to go one more section. Then I'm going to have 20 sections, I think, around the egg. 20 stripes, 20 things to come around. So I don't want my checks to be too big. Okay. Okay, I'm right down this middle right here. Going right down through my flowers. Okay, now I've got one. Let's count them here. Okay, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 sections. I've got 16 sections on the top of that egg, which is very hard for you to see my pencil marks. Okay, now it's time to do my checks. So I'm going to use a cloth tape measure here, and I want to come down 1 inch to do my checks. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to put the 1 right in the center of that dot. Put my 1, start it right there. And then I'm going to come right down my egg and I'm going to put a little mark right here. And I got to go all the way around my egg and do that. I'm starting the 1 is going right in the center up there. Then I'm going to go around the egg and make a 1. So I'm coming down 1 inch. 1 inch from my top center, I'm coming down to start my checks. So my checks are going to be 1 inch down. Okay, now I can follow that line. Again, I got little hatch marks around that circle. I'm going to go from one little hatch mark to the next one. Going around the egg this time. And I get my first row of checks in the top. No craft is ever perfect. So, there's going to be, you may be a little off, but doing around the egg from one to the other, nobody's going to be looking at one side. This is not a flat surface. So they're not going to be going around here and examining, doing an examination. I'll get it out in a minute. Doing an exam as to see if your checks are exactly the same all the way around. If they are eyeballing it, they're going to see them correct. If they measure them, they may be off just a fraction, but don't worry about that. Now I've got one circle of checks there. Now I can come down another inch. I want to make my lines an inch, or I use these cardboard. I've got these pieces of poster board that I have cut into strips and I measure them. So this is my 1 inch cardboard. I cut it out of a piece of cardstock or a piece of poster paper. So now instead of going around with that tape measure, I'm going to go around with this board, with this piece of cardboard, which is much easier for me to hold on there than it is to hold that cloth tape measure. And I'm going to come down an inch using this tape measure. I'm going to come down right under that, and I'm going to mark it right here under my cardboard. Going right around the egg again, following that line, making me a little mark. See, if you tried to just wrap that around there, that's not possible because it's all, when it goes in a circle, it's going to be all different. So you have to just edge your way around and make a little mark down through there. What I'll do, instead of painting the whole egg with you, I want to teach you how to get the pattern on there. And then I'm going to paint part of it with you so you know where we're going. But it's just a waste of time to sit here and paint the whole thing with you. So, okay, I'm going to make me a little mark there, right where into my where my flowers are at. Okay. I have people ask all the time how you get that pattern on there. So this is mainly what I want to show you today is how you get your pattern on. Okay, now I'm going to follow that hatch marks from one around to the next one. Now I've got 2 circles of my checks down through there. Now I'm going to have to work it right into this piece here. I'll have to take a tiny brush when I get into that, down in there in that section. To get them right, I'll have to get a real small brush to go down in there where I need to cover. Okay, now I've got 1, 2 section of my checks around there. I've got 2 of them. Now I'm going to take my right on down my piece, go down here, hold my cardboard on there, on that line there, and come down and make another check underneath there. I have these cardboards cut for every size from 1/2 inch up to 3 or 4 inches, according to whatever I'm working on and whatever length I need as to what I use to, what I use them on. But if you just keep them, I keep them till I wear them out, and then I make me some more. This is the easiest way to make your checks the same size, or your stripes. But I just want to show you how to put your pattern on. Once you get your pattern on, the painting's easy. You just paint your colors in there, and you got it done. So you'll notice I'm using the end of that cardboard to get them in there. I mean, I'm not going to, if I just take it around in a circle, you're not going to be even. So you got to use one spot on your cardboard. Okay. Now I'm ready to go around again. Coming in here, and I'm going to put my marks in. Get right up under my flowers there. Okay, we're moving right along. Ready for the next row. Okay, this makes me 1, 2, 3, 4. This is my 4th section of chicks. That noise you're hearing, girls, is my heater. It's a little bit nippy today in Tennessee, so I have the heater on. in my workroom. Always turn your work to where it's comfortable for you. Never put yourself in a strain as to what you're working on, because that makes it hard. Okay, I'm seeing I got that one a little bit too low going in them flowers. Okay. Those flowers are throwing me off just a little bit. I'm going to have to go way up in here. Now I got it. See, because if you look at it and you eyeball it, sometimes you might see that that's not exactly right when you're working in something like these flowers. So you got to pay attention to that too. Ready for the next ones. I'll take that one down just a hair. Okay. See, I'm down here working in the flowers again, so I'm going to have to pay real close attention to my spots here. Hope that I get them straight. Okay, back around again. I think we got about two more rows and we'll have it. We're past the flowers now, down to the bottom. When I make these stripes, I just sit down with a big piece of poster paper and I line them all out with a yardstick, ruler, however how I want it, and then I cut them and I label them what size they are and put them away. So when I get ready to make checks or whatever, then I've got them all ready. I just pull out of my stash what design, what length, what check size I want to use. Makes it a whole lot easier than trying to figure each time with each thing you do. Okay, I'm going around again. See, it takes more time to get your pattern on than it does to paint your checks. Okay, I got one more row. And I will be at the bottom. I like to use a lead pencil for this because if I make a mistake, I can go back, I can erase it real easy. Or if I have something where the lines don't get covered, it's easier to take them off. Okay, I'm done with the stripes, done with that. Okay, I have all my checks up and down through there, all the way from top to the bottom. Now, another step, important step, is to mark each check you're going to paint with an X. So I'm going to start up here to the top in this one, and I'm going to go around and I'm going to put an X in every one. Now I want to stay out of these inner ones here as much as I can, so I'm going to put an X, this one, this one. I gotta go in that one. Now I'm going to go right up here to my main top ones and X these little ones in. Now going down through here, I can go the whole section to the bottom. This one, this one, this one, and this one. See, I can make my X's all the way to the bottom once I get them lined out there. Then I work around, I'm going this one, this one. Right back up to the top again. Get your first row in, and then you got it licked down through there. Getting the rest of the X's in is real fast. Once you get around here, you'll know if you missed one. And if you're painting them and you've missed one, then you're in a world of hurt. Okay? Now I've got all my X's in. Now I'm going to paint just a few with you, so you'll see paint them. I'm going to paint these navy blue. And I'm getting me out some paint over here on my palette. This is Americanas, and it actually is navy blue. It says navy blue. I don't want much paint on my brush, and I want a good brush with a good edge on it. Let me put a little bit of water. I use a water palette. I need to put a little bit of water on my sponge. I use a water palette, which keeps my keeps my paint wet all day if I choose to leave it that way. If I'm working and I want to use that paint over and over, I can wet that sponge that's under there, and then I'm good to go for the day. Now I'm going to move my palette over a little bit here. I've got a good flat edge brush, and you're going to need some different size brushes. You know, you got to make your checks the size. Use a brush that's comfortable for you in that check. So I'm putting me out a little bit of blue paint over here, shook it up good. And I'm going to go in, and when I load that brush, let me push this over here a little bit a minute. When I load my brush here, I'm going to sneak right into the edge of that paint and put a little bit. I don't want a whole lot of paint on my brush, okay? So I'm going to put a little bit of paint on there. Then I'm going to come over here and choose me one of the checks. And I'm just going to come down. I'm letting the edge of that brush. And I see from this paint that I'll probably putting 2 coats of paint on each one of these checks, which makes for a lot of work. And you let the side of your brush, the straight side of your brush, make your straight edge around through there. Turn your egg so that you're pulling. I'm right-handed. I like to pull that brush toward me. I like to use my little finger as my guide that holds that brush in place. And I work my way right around it. See, I've got the first check in there perfectly. Now I'm just going to work right around. As much as this brush is a little bigger, so I'm going to do the ones that fit this brush. When I have to go down to a smaller one, when I get down to the smaller checks, then I'll go down to a smaller brush. I like to get all my edges in first and then load the middle of the check. Because I want that brush, if you've got a good straight edge brush, you're going to have a good straight edge on that check. This goes really fast for me. But I've done thousands of checks. The more you do, the better you'll get at it. The best thing to do to start, though, is to work on a flat surface. If you work on a flat surface first, you'll learn how to put your designs on and how to control your brush. It's just time, takes a little time to learn to get it, to get them. All your checks should touch on the corners. You want the corners to all touch each other. See, they're bigger in the middle, smaller checks at the top, and as they go down my egg, they're getting larger. See, get larger as they come down. I never like to push the paint. I always want to pull it. So if you pull it, I'm pulling it toward me. And like I said, I turn it. I'm right-handed, so I turn it however's comfortable for me to work with it. Don't put yourself in a strain that you don't have to. If you have to, then you got to deal with it. When I get into those, behind those butterflies and stuff, I'll have to use a smaller brush and do the best I can to get down in behind those butterflies, to get all those checks in there. I'm working right on down. These dry quickly, which is a good thing. Because if you're working on one side, by the time you're ready to start around, this side will be dry. I'm not good at editing videos, girls, so I'll do this, I'll paint these checks with you for a while, and then I'll come back, because if we sit here and paint them all, we'll be here a while. And since I'm not able to edit, I will do the best I can and then show you the finished thing. But excuse me, what I wanted to show you mainly is how to put your pattern on there, because that's what I have more questions. How do you get them on there than I do with painting the checks? They want to know how you get that in a round surface. So that's mainly what I'm trying to show you today, is how to get your pattern on. Now I'm going to go, see, I've got one. Let's use this brush to put the edge of this one in here. Then I'll have to go to a smaller brush to get that other one in, get the rest of it in. These flat brushes that I'm using now, I buy in what they call a class pack from Hobby Lobby. And they're not expensive, so I don't, I can use them and not worry about ruining them. I can change them out quick because I'm hard on brushes. See, I'm all the way to the bottom on this one side. To me, I can control my brush a whole lot more with the less amount of paint on it. And I like that. I'd rather dip in that paint a number of times than I would to have a big gob of my paint on my brush when I'm getting in there. And I just sneak into the edge of the paint. I never go down in that big glob of paint that's sitting on my board, on my palette. Now I've got that down through there. I'm going to take me a smaller brush now. I'm going to put that in my thing, and I'm going to go down to a smaller one, see if this one's going to fit. And I'm going to show you how to get in here to paint some of these that's on the inside. This brush is a size down. We'll use it, and if we have to, then we'll go down to a smaller one. So I'm going to go right up in here, sneak it right along the edge of that blue where it's right under that flower. And paint in where I can see what's going to show I'm painting that in. See, when you hold that up like that, I just need to be able to cover what's going to show if I've got that egg setting straight up. So I got to get in there far enough to cover the part that's going to show, which, see, I'm right back in behind this little flower here. Now I've got one right here. So I'm going in here, right underneath the flower, pull my brush around there, going around that flower. I varnish everything I do. When I get finished with this egg, I will use a brush-on varnish, and I use Jo Sonja's varnish in satin or glossy. It's according to what kind of finish I want. You can buy that on Amazon. Okay, now I'm right into here where this one's at. So you just got to work around those butterflies and flowers that's in there. Hope that I don't get one too many or one too out of the place. You got to get way back in there on that one. Okay, now see, I'm right down in the middle of those flowers. Now I'm going to come around here. Let's see, I've got to get way back in there and get that one. Come in here, very lightly go in there. A little bit of paint on my brush and pay real close attention to what you're doing, because you can't get that paint out of there if you screw it up. And I have done that before. Your mistakes you learn from. Okay. Trying to get that one spot in there. Okay, got it in. I see my flowers and my X's, my checks are right down in my flowers there. Okay, now let's see where I need to go. Okay, I've got those pretty, see this one right here is going to be a blue one. So let's go ahead and get the blue ones in while I've got this brush in my hand. Get the ones in underneath the flowers. Okay, now I've got one little one right up there, but this brush might be too small to get, too big to get in there. So I'm going to leave that one, because I'm going to go down to a smaller brush when I get up here around these top ones. See, I've got to get a little bitty brush when I get up around there. Okay, now I'm going to show you if I go back. When you go back and paint that second color on there, your color's going to be real pretty navy blue. And you will have to paint. Some paints, you know, very few of them are one coat coverage. Black is, but if you're working on a white surface, very few paints will you find that are going to be one coat coverage. But now see, after I get that one in, the navy blue one, after I get 2 coats in there, then I got it. I will sit here and paint the whole, paint all of them in. And then I'll be ready to varnish it. And I'll show it to you when it's finished. Show you the finished product. And if you're visiting me on YouTube, I hope you'll subscribe and come along. And let me know if you have any questions. Shoot me a question. If you're on Facebook, you know where I'm at. So just ask. And I will try my best to answer your questions. Sometimes I miss them. I have a lot, if you put it under a post and there's a lot of questions, and sometimes I miss them. So you can always send me a message. But see, I'm going to work my way all the way around that. And then I'll probably put a little bit of shading. And when I put, let me clean this brush here and I'll show you one. If I shade it a little bit, I will shade it on the, probably on the white part. And I would take a color like a paler shade. Let's see, let me see if I've got a real pale shade of blue over here. Something that I can use just for a little shade. Let me look a minute, girls. Okay. This one still might be too dark. But if I want to put a little bit of a shade in there, this is a little bit different shade of blue. This is a real old paint, Accents. They're not available. So pick you some kind of different color of blue, or, to match your picture. And I've got a little bit of glazing medium on my brush. I will pick up a little bit of medium on my brush, and then on the left side of my brush I'll pick up a little bit of that paint on the left side, blend it on my palette. Here, let's go back over to my palette so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to blend this on my palette. I've picked up a little bit here, and I've got medium on one side, paint on the other. Blend it on the palette so when I put it on there it just fades from paint to nothing. Then I can go up here right beside this blue, or even inside this blue, and I can pull me down a little line right down through there. See, I can go in and just pull a little line of a different color down through there and change the color in that blue just a little bit. And I will do that in each one, come around with each one to do that. You can put it in the blue, you can put it in the white, whichever one you want to do. Okay, girls, rather than sit here, like I said, it's just a repeat and repeat of all the way around. The main thing was showing you how to get the pattern on. And then I'll change I'll finish it out, and I'll post a picture of it so you'll see exactly what it looks like when I get it finished and varnished. Okay? Thanks for coming along, and if you have any questions, just ask. Come back and see me.